Well, has in seáú san córach tí seacham agus dólamh Heather-Sparling a had leor úr scríbú ma dhéin cuspeth Gaelic. Heather, thanks very much for coming to talk about your wonderful new book. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, this is a book about Puirt-a-beul, which, as you know, is the Gaelic term for mouth music. That's how it's usually translated into English. More literally, it's tunes from the mouth. And this is a Gaelic song genre that's typically believed to have been used to accompany dancing, particularly in the absence of instruments. So if for some reason fiddles or pipes or other instruments weren't available, then dance music could still be provided vocally. And these songs are still performed today. They're performed in Scotland, they're performed here in Cape Breton and Nova Scotia. And it turns out that they're a really fun genre, but they're also a little bit controversial. And so that's sort of my exploration in the book, is looking at that genre.
Now, you're an ethnomusicologist.
I am.
How did you get interested in that?
Well, it's a bit of a story. So ethnomusicology, I didn't even know that such a thing existed until the end of my music degree. I'm actually a classically trained flute player, but I'd always been very interested in my Scottish heritage. And when I discovered that there was such a thing called ethnomusicology, I was so excited because it meant that I could blend my interests in music and my interests in Scottish and Celtic culture. And my original intention was actually to study dance music, because I'm actually not much of a singer myself. But I had been taking Gaelic classes and I really loved them. And I knew that through my Gaelic classes I had a number of contacts with people who had connections with Cape Breton and Nova Scotia, and I wanted to look at dance music in Nova Scotia. So I began by thinking, well, I'll study Puirt-a-beul. This is this dance music. It's Gaelic. I know these Gaelic teachers and people in the Gaelic community in Toronto, which is where I was at the time, who could maybe introduce me to the topic. And the first person that I talked to about Puirt-a-beul was from Scotland originally, a native Gaelic speaker, and she spoke very positively about them, spoke about how wonderful they were. When she was a kid, she remembered singing them and dancing to them, and spoke very positively about them. And the second person I interviewed has very, very close ties to Cape Breton, and she was the absolute opposite. So she really said no, nobody would choose to sing them if they had any other songs to sing, and they're not really songs. And this sort of diametrically opposed attitude towards Puirt-a-beul made me think that maybe there was something worth exploring here. And so that's how I ended up focusing, at the time my master's thesis was on Puirt-a-beul, and this book really kind of builds on some of that early research that I did. And so I ended up moving all in the direction of Gaelic song, still dance music, but in sort of language as opposed to instrumental music.
Well, this is a very rare book, because very few people have written about Puirt-a-beul before.
That's right. And so that was one of the things that was very interesting to me as well, is that it felt like there were lots of Puirt-a-beul around. I heard lots on CDs, and when I first came out to Cape Breton to begin my research, there were workshops happening on it. And I certainly had learned some when I had been over in Scotland and taken Gaelic in Scotland as well, and we had done Puirt-a-beul there. And so it seemed like they were around, and yet when I started to try to find out more about them, I quickly discovered that there was very little information about them, and also very little even just in terms of collections of Puirt-a-beul as tunes and lyrics. There just wasn't that much out there.